We're just about ready to pass Ronald Reagan, who we love. We're just about ready to pass, we just passed everybody, and we have a lot of states to go. But we want to create such a record like they haven't had before. So if you can, on Tuesday, it'll take you 2 minutes, go in, vote. The stronger we look, the stronger we are. We've had more votes than anybody. And don't forget, I started out with 17 people. And one by one, it was a beautiful thing to watch. Yeah. So we had a good time. I mean, it's been an amazing experience for me, and I've never done this before. I've been a politician for 10 months, and these guys have been politicians for 30 years in some cases, right? How am I doing? Am I doing a good job? Right? We don't play games. But we have a message. You know, we have the right message. We're tired of being dopes. We're tired of being the stupid people. We're tired of having these leaders down the drain, and that's what they're doing. We're going to have great trade deals. You know, in Nebraska, and I just learned, I said, how's it doing business like with Japan? You send business to Japan. You don't send business to China, because China doesn't take your business. We take their business. They don't take our business, right? You know that. You know that? They won't take our business. So we take all of their stuff, we don't tax them, they send everything in, everything's beautiful. But when Nebraska wants to send their product, and they have great product, great agricultural product, which is important. But when you want to send your product to China, they don't take it. No, we don't want it, right? Now, when you send it to Japan, where they send the cars in, no tax, very little tax, practically nothing, they send the cars in. When you send your beautiful agriculture, the best in the world, you send your agricultural product in, what happens? 38% tax, right? 38% tax into Japan. No, think of it. They call it a tariff, you know, a tariff. It sounds a little bit better, a tariff. But the whole thing, we're not going to do this stuff anymore, folks. We're not going to play the games anymore. We're gonna level it out. And you want to see a trade imbalance? You want to see a trade? Just take a look at Japan. Millions of cars come pouring in. You go to Los Angeles, the biggest ships you've ever seen, loaded up with cars, right? And you look at what we have. We send beef. Beef is very important, but it's not quite as big a product. Do we agree? Okay? Do we agree? Sometimes they send it back because they don't want it, because their farmers don't want it. They send it back. And then we send it back. It goes back and forth, and then they charge you much more. They call it Kobe beef. It's old. It's old. It's old. Who the hell wants it? And they charge you much more money. But here's the thing. Look, there's a 38% tariff when you send your product. There's practically no tariff or tax when they send theirs. Tell me, folks, who's making these deals? I can tell you Pete wouldn't be making that deal. On a federal level, it's ridiculous. We're being outdealt, we're being outplayed, and we can't have it anymore. Now, you've been watching all of the elections that have been taking place, and I really have. I've gotten to know this country so well, and you know, it started with New Hampshire, where my first victory. I'll always forget that. I mean, there's nothing like it. These beautiful valleys, these beautiful streams. And what's their big problem? Heroin. I said, what do you mean heroin? What are you talking about? Heroin. It pours in from the southern border. And I said, you know what? If I win, we'll build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. You have the same problem. We'll build the wall.
All right, we're going to continue to monitor Donald Trump and see what he says, if anything, about this growing rift within the Republican Party. Several major Republicans now saying they're not ready at this point to support Donald Trump. Let's bring in a major Trump supporter. Scotty Nell Hughes is joining us. Scotty, as we continue to monitor what Donald Trump is saying, is, you know, a lot of these supporters have said Republicans should find, at least some of the Trump supporters have said, maybe they should find a new speaker after Speaker Ryan said he wasn't yet ready to support Trump. Are you among those who say that maybe he should not be speaker?
Well, I'm one of those. I was never really a huge fan of Paul Ryan being Speaker of the House in the first place, but I'm going to leave those to the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress right now when they go and they vote for a new Speaker. And more importantly, I'm going to leave it to the voters of Wisconsin when Speaker Ryan goes up for re-election, as I think that
Scotty, hold on. He's talking about some other Republicans right now.
He leaves a disgrace. He can't represent the people of South Carolina well. He goes on television. I've never seen a guy on television knocking me all the time. It's hard to believe I win everything in a landslide. This guy goes on television, then he talks about, I know more about the military than Trump. I've been dealing with it for years. Yeah, for years. And that's why we can't beat ISIS. For years. They deal for years. We need new thinking. So he fails with his campaign horribly. He then endorses somebody else, and then he endorses Bush, and he endorses everybody. He's like bad luck. As soon as he endorses the people, they drop out. And then I see him on television knocking me. You know, you're supposed to be coming together. Paul Ryan, I don't know what happened. I don't know. He called me 2-3 weeks ago. It was a very nice conversation. He was congratulating me. This was before we had the ultimate victory, but he was congratulating me on doing so well. I figured routinely he'd be behind it. And he, the other day, just did a big surprise because I have had so many endorsements. I mean, today, a lot of them. Bob Dole came in. Dick Cheney came in. Many congressmen came in. Many senators come in. And we've had tremendous endorsements from a lot of people, both current and people that were here and highly respected people. And, you know, Rick Perry, as an example. He came in, and I've always liked him. But he's a tough competitor, and he fought hard, and he was rough on me, right? He got up, remember, he went to Washington and made a speech for a half-an-hour speech about Donald Trump. He said, I'm a cancer on the Republican Party. No, that's the bad news. Let me tell you the good news. So yesterday, he endorsed me. And I like him. I do like him. I forgot about the 1 hour where he went wild. Okay, but he said, one of the most talented or brilliant or something candidates ever to run for the presidency in the history of the presidency. So you have that statement and then you have this statement. There's a big difference. That's a big gap. But I appreciate it. And I like Rick Perry, and he's a good man, and I appreciate that he did that. But the one that we're surprised at, and I'm not surprised with the Bush family, in all fairness, because I've been very critical of what happened during the term. So I'm not surprised. And Jeb, we hit hard. Do we agree? But what people don't say is that he hit me hard. He spent $14 million on negative ads. So people will say, you weren't nice to the Bush family. I spent $14 million on negative ads. I didn't spend anything on negative ads on him. It really tells you when somebody can spend $14 million on negative ads, it sort of says, like, do ads have any power? You know, I would go up to New Hampshire before the vote. The best was Florida. They spent, I think, $28 million on negative ads. They spent thousands and thousands. You know the total negative ads? Have you seen it on television? 66,000 negative ads. I want to see Pete get 66,000 negative ads. Pete, you wouldn't be standing. You'd say, I'm going home. I'm leaving. I'm going home. Pete, 66,000 negative ads, over $100 million. And I'm leading by a lot. It was a landslide. In fact, it's over. I don't know. So I don't know what it means. But I tell the story. I'm in Florida, and I had a tough race against Marco, and I like Marco. I like everybody once it's over. I like people. But Marco was very popular in Florida and is very popular. And I was down, and I own Trump National Doral. And they're having the big golf tournament. And Adam Scott from Australia, he's one of the top couple of golfers in the world. He's phenomenal. Long, straight, everything, does everything. He ends up winning with a phenomenal chip shot, almost goes in the water. The 18th hole at Doral is the hardest hole on the PGA Tour. It's considered the toughest hole. It averages like 4.8, which is impossible for a par 4, right? So Adam Scott hits a good drive, then he hits a shot, and he goes left, almost goes in the water. He hits this unbelievable chip shot, a flop shot, 4 or 5 feet from the pin, sinks the putt, he wins the tournament. And all week long, I'm watching these horrible negative ads about myself. And we have hundreds of televisions all around the green. We have all these televisions where it's called the Cadillac World Championship. It's a big, big tournament. And thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people. And I said to myself, oh, wait a minute, I forgot about this. I'm supposed to go out on the green, hand the trophy to Adam and all the people there, Tim Fincham, the PGA Tour. And I say, wait a minute, what happens if they have negative ads? They're going, because they said, And now Adam Scott, but before we get to Adam, we'll have a few commercials. Thank you very much. I said, oh, this is terrible. I said, I told my people, get the televisions turned off. Turn them up, but there were hundreds that were all over the place.
All right, we're going to continue once again to monitor Donald Trump. He's in Omaha, Nebraska at this rally. Scotty's still with us. Scotty Hughes, a Trump supporter. So what do you think, Scotty? This kind of talk, several Republicans say they're not going to support Donald Trump. Jeb Bush, he put out a statement a little while ago. Donald Trump has not demonstrated the temperament or strength of character. He has not displayed a respect for the Constitution, and he is not a consistent conservative. These are all reasons why I cannot support his candidacy. You just heard the reaction not only to him, but to Lindsey Graham and Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House. All of this is this really going to unify the Republican Party going into a general election?
Well, first of all, I think people like Jeb and Lindsey Graham need to go back and look at some youth sports because they're not really setting a good sportsmanship type of example for the youth right now of any of the Republican Party. But I actually think it's interesting that we're focusing on them because, as Mr. Trump pointed out, I'm celebrating endorsements like Dick Cheney. I'm celebrating, other endorsements and getting somebody like Governor Rick Perry, who was very much on the campaign trail for Senator Ted Cruz, when he's saying that he wants to put the party above it, and he realizes that anybody right now that is fighting against the nominee is actually going for Hillary. I think that shows a type of maturity, and those are the folks that I think are going to be the ones that are going to unify the party and give me optimism. Those are a much louder voice than two guys who actually were beat by the predominant candidate right now.
Scotty, stand by. We're going to continue to monitor. Donald Trump will go back there once he starts talking about the current crisis in the Republican Party, and it is a crisis right now. We'll see what happens. Much more of our coverage right after this.
So when they set up this delegate deal, they said,